Unbox a toy member, yeah, we break through. Unbox the fire, showcase the find. Collectors worldwide, all one of a kind. ToyLeet, we set the pace. Elite with the heat in this plastic race. ToyLeet, not just a name, we're the culture, the vibe, the collecting flame. Click, snap, pose, it's more than display. We stack with style, redefining play. Custom builds, epic drops, from stream to shelf, we never stop. ToyLeet, it's not just toys, it's legacy we stack. ToyLeet's the movement, and we're never looking back.
On mute. Yep, yeah, I am.
Yeah, there we are. We're both muted. You muted us
on
both.
Yeah, because I think the audio was coming through as we were kicking off there for a second. So, yeah, I went ahead and adjusted that a little bit. Let me fix the lighting in here a little bit so I can see myself. How's it going, man?
Good, brother. What's happening?
Good. Living the life, dude. Living the life.
Awesome.
Man, we got a cool topic to this week. I think will be a little controversial, you know.
It'll be fun, I think. I think it'd be fun to talk it through because I think there's some things that are valid and some things that are just people talking.
Absolutely. Oop, man, didn't mean to do that. Sorry, stuff popping off in my ears.
Did you get any pickups this week?
I didn't get any pickups, but I did unbox something for once. I mean,
That's impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. Yeah, I mean, did you have a ToyLeet this week? ToyLeet?
I do have a ToyLeet this week.
Oh, cool. So I'll just show what I unboxed.
Yeah,
I'll let you do your ToyLeet. So I unboxed the Ultimate Lex Luger figure.
Oh, nice.
From the WWE Mattel line, their Ultimate line. I actually thought this was cool. Something they've recently started doing was they actually have it set up so that you have like removable hair. So, because he had a couple different hairstyles where he wore it with a ponytail and where he had like just a long flushed out hair. They did a good job where it's like not too noticeable with the cuts. I was pretty happy with it. He had the towel in his hand, which was a little, I don't remember him carrying the towel. That's like more Mr. Perfect to me. But this came with the spray painted NWO belt, came with some alternative hands. It also came out with 3 different facial expressions.
Yeah, I saw. I checked him out at Walmart.
Going on the shelf.
Yeah, I checked him out at Walmart. Yeah. He was pretty cool.
I
don't collect the wrestlers, but I do like to look at like especially those ones, you know, when they do like the classic guys, you know, and
so I snagged him to put in my WCW case, so he'll go up there with, you know, the Macho Man, the Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. He'll go up there with you know, the Ultimate Warrior from his time, Goldberg, and you know, some of those guys. He's a cool figure. How about yourself, man?
So, you know, a week ago Friday, Savage Crucible had their in-stock sale.
Oh, okay.
So I picked up Krieger the Shunned and the Raiders pack. I didn't care. I mean, Krieger's a cool figure, but I combined some of the Raiders pack with Krieger to create this dude.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. I've been doing some of that stuff myself. I think.
Yeah.
Hold that one right there because I'm going to go grab mine. And I got one that I did similar, a little different. Because that's one of the cool things about these with the bonus pack, the weapons packs and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there's a ton of extra stuff you can do. And
I know I need some like just plain bodies that are human now. Just to sword. I gave him the Krieger axe and then that extra axe that came with the Raiders pack.
Yeah, I did a couple different customs. I got a couple extra figures. So I got 2 more that I'm still working on customizing. I've seen some cool stuff. I think the next 2 I'm going to introduce some of the more lizard stuff with. Yeah. And I may do something with one of my extra Komos that I have. But I put that axe on his back and stuff. Similar to like that. I put the shoulder pads. I like this little, I don't know, like almost like a shield punching glove thing that they have here. I thought that was cool.
Oh, yeah, with the spikes on it. That's cool.
Yeah.
I tell you what, man, this is only my second Savage figure, but I am absolutely impressed and just loving them, dude.
Dude, they're crushing it, man.
I'm taking these 2, this guy, and then my ball and chain out to the woods to do some picks this week.
Yeah, I got to get you that Jaeger that I got. I got him, and
Yep.
I'm gonna throw an extra one of the heads. Did you get the pack that comes with the extra Jaeger heads or no?
No, I just got the
Okay,
Raiders pack.
so I'll throw that. I'll throw that in there for you
Yeah.
too because I have an extra set of the Jaeger heads.
I like the bald head that came with that Raiders pack too. The screaming head.
Is that?
It's the bald one. Yep, that one.
This one here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did similar, added a bunch of stuff to him. He's carrying like he's dual wielding like the bat maces and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's
Awesome.
got like that. I ended up putting like the rope kind of hanging thing there.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of forced it in the back too so he could carry some extra stuff. If I
Oh,
wasn't sure if that
nice.
was a carrier, but then I realized I think it's actually something so like he can, get up on something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it because the faces are distinguishable enough, and the bucks and whatnot are universal. So yeah, no, they did a good job with these. But yeah, that's a great figure.
Yep. So he will definitely be going on the shelf and not into the toilet.
Yeah, no, Savage is crushing it with those, man, for sure. Good deal.
Yeah. Brian from Endless Fable saying, such great figures. Yeah, they are, dude. I'm like I said, this is only the second one I picked up. Travis has been yammering on about them for a year or two now since he got
A
his
year now. It's a year.
first ones, and I finally picked up my
Yep.
first one at Joe Fest, and I've been absolutely loving them ever since. So I'm going to slowly collect, slowly build them up. Got a lot of other things I got to get at the same time. So
I got and you should see while we're talking that stuff. I got to show you what I did here. Oh shoot. My son comes stealing from.
the Son of Wonder borrow that figure on you?
I don't know where he is. Yeah, he must have done something.
Yeah,
Definitely put it up there. Son of a gun, kid.
that's right.
I
You
just
have
worried
to,
that I didn't put it on any stands. I just had it set up there.
yeah,
So I worry that it may have fallen, and I worry that it may have ended up in a garbage bag or something. Who knows?
yeah.
I'll be furious on that. Oh, here he is. I found him. Yep, he fell.
He fell.
Sorry. Got it. Apologize. Kind of on the fly here. So I love this guy. The Nashorn.
Oh yeah.
So I love how they did his stuff up. But I don't, I mean, I didn't really pay attention to his lore too much. I don't know if there was too much about him. I'm sure there's on the site, but like I had gotten two of them. So what I did was I made their heads. I used two different skulls, so they're two different characters, but like they're like a pair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've got them like stacked with the same weapons and stuff. The only difference is, I've got them opposite handing wielding the weapons, and then like I'm using a different face sculpts. I use the same horns and stuff just to give it kind of like that. I don't know, like Guardians of the Gate type approach.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so
I
they came
love
out
that.
good.
I love that guy's helmet. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of them, but that I like those two the most. There's a couple. I think there's one other one.
Yeah, there's one on
from
the
that
helmet.
pack.
But the horns are awesome. They got those ones
There's
that
a
are
bunch
like
of different
dragon
horns.
wings that you could put in there.
Yep.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, I didn't use any of those because they didn't fit kind of the look I was going for on those.
Yeah.
But no, they did cool. The only thing I will say that I think would have been really cool, and I haven't played with it enough to know, is that ball and it would have been cool if on this helmet these were removable.
Yeah.
And you could have used Nashorn's horns on here if you wanted to.
Yeah, I wish they would have
like-
given. I wish they would have given Ball and Chain a plain head too. Without a helmet on or something.
Oh yeah.
Since they were going out with the art, they kind of had to stick to the art.
Yeah. Did they throw an extra one in the packs though?
No, but you could put Krieger's head on there or the other
Maybe
guy's
that's what it
head.
was.
But like you said last week, the skin tone on
It's
the
just
Ball and
slightly off.
Chain is slightly more like a tannish color than the regular skin. So
Yeah, it's got a little bit more
that
tan.
dirty
Yeah, the
tan
others a little
look
bit more
to it.
orange and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think they did great.
Yeah. If you put this helmeted, bearded head on there, it'd be fine. But,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
but like putting a skin tone head on there, you'd have to get one that matched the skin tone. So,
for sure.
So anyway, you want to pop into
deal.
the chat before we hit the shout out?
Yeah, let's do that. So ToyLeet was good.
Yeah. The Teflon 3's here. Good evening. Oh, and hi, Travis. Starting already on you, man. And Mendoza's here. What's up, Mendoza? And then we got this guy here, Mr. Wonderful, playing double duty, saying yo, yo, yo. No one's in the house making his toy tube official. Hi, Travis said in chat. Hi, knowing what's going on, brother. And Teflon saying they look like Motu background characters. Yeah, they could fit into the Motu world. They fit pretty decent, look pretty good with Masterverse figures, but they are bounds and leaps of more better than those guys. So,
oh yeah, the figure itself, like
yeah,
if I haven't even put those near the Masterverse figures yet, but it's like you have your child's play version, and then you have your more adult collector for sure.
And G.I. Jetman saying, hey guys, sorry I'm late. No worries. No need to say sorry. Let's talk plastic. We'll be talking plastic in just a moment.
For sure.
And Brian from Endless Fable saying, hey guys, what's up, Brian? And then we have G.I. Jetman saying he loves the dungeon set. Yeah, that dungeon set with the little Komodo dragon's pretty damn sweet. Action Joe Figs.
But I wanted to. I totally forgot about it. I'm gonna hold on. I'll have to get it later.
It's only $25. I'm sure it'll still be available. What's up, Action Joe? Hope this first week of being the big 6-0 has treated you well.
Oh, yeah.
And Thor Anacosta, what's going on, Thor? Good to see you, man.
What's up, man?
And that is it for the chat right now, brother.
Good deal. So, I'm just going to jump into who we are, what we do. He's Ed Axion Figs. I'm Travis, the Mr. Wonderful. Together, we are the ToyLeet. And we get together every Tuesday. We talk the action figures, the plastic, the adjacent. We focus highly on the independent toy lines, like Savage Crucible already mentioned earlier, along with plenty of other independent toy creators and their products. We like to shout out folks from the Crick, which is a little throwback to Ed's original conception of this show with his son. And we like to shout out something someone is doing that's cool in the community. It might be, a new line. It might be photos. It might be a good show. It might be a retailer. It might be something, but it's at a lower level as far as it's not like the mainstream stuff. And we're trying to help build up the community and champion those positive actions by others. And then we have the ToyLeet and ToyLet segment, where we decide, like we just did previously, to whether the figure goes down the crapper or goes on the shelf. And again this week, I guess we just don't buy shit most days. So
most days we don't.
Most stuff doesn't end up in the toilet. So another shelf worthy, but I mean, it's a Harbinger Studios figure. I wouldn't expect it to go anywhere but the shelf. That said, we always cover a different topic every week for the main portion of the show. And we try to pick things that aren't necessarily things that are covered by everyone all the time or have been done before. Just some unique things. Last week, what did we cover last week? The Mandela Effect stuff.
The Mandela Effect
stuff last week on toys or toy.
No, Legacy. Wasn't it Legacy last week?
Oh, yes. Sorry, that's 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
ago was the Mandela.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's all like meshing together.
Yeah.
And then last week was, are we blocking? Are we the problem as collectors and adult collectors because of, being such large consumers and the buyers in the market? And then this week, we got a special topic. So I'll just pull that up real quick and we'll jump to that. So, this week, this episode, it's going to be dedicated really to every collector who has faced disappointment from a pre-order, every inbox buyer who believed they were securing something unique only to see it marked down just a few weeks later, every person who clicked buy now due to that dreaded only 3 left tag, unaware that there was still a warehouse brimming with stock. So tonight we're not, merely discussing poorly made figures. We're addressing the issues of bad faith. This is a significant distinction between generating excitement and misleading your fan base. We'll explore the boundaries that some toy companies overstep, revealing how this behavior is not just frustrating but also manipulative. So, however, it's not all negative. We'll provide insights on how to identify these tactics, highlight companies that are doing things correctly, and share ways to stay informed while continuing to enjoy the hobby. So that's what we'll be focusing on tonight when we talk about when toy brands kind of are playing us, or plastic lies, as we like to say. That said, Ed,
if you didn't see that comment, Action Joe Fig says, "Dang, Travis, I'm the old guy. I'm the one that should be forgetting, not you."
I didn't see that one. No, I didn't. So yeah, it happens. It happens.
Squirrel.
So, exactly. So with that said, I think next up is that throwback to the shout out from the Crick, right?
That's right.
So let's do the little runner here.
Down by the creek where the water flows, we're shouting out to those who know. Spreading joy, sharing love, ToyLeet fam, you rise above. Shout out from the creek, you're the best. Hype up the heroes who've passed the test. Community stars shining bright, lifting each other, it feels so right.
Ed?
Tonight's shout out from the Crick goes to the one and only.
Recognize the source of deceit, to renew your faith.
After last week, Teflon, this has been digging at me. I wanted to respond immediately, but I held off. You've been walking around with this idea in your head that you're superhero, you're Superman, that these DC players, that they can't be touched. You speak their names, you speak his name like it's a prayer. Like if you say it enough times, it'll make it true. But the thing about faith, the faith you have in him, the faith, it breaks. And when it breaks, it cuts deeper than anything you've ever felt. You called him the first. You also called him the greatest. But the first is simply never the last, Teflon. And greatness isn't inherited. It's proven. Minute after minute, day after day, year after year. And you're Superman? He's been propped up, rebuilt, rebooted, and rewritten so many times, I don't think you can tell if you love the man or the memory. You think on September 2nd that it's going to be a debate, Marvel versus DC, two sides equal footing? But it's not. This isn't a meeting of the minds. It's a hunt. And you just wandered into my woods. And on September 2nd, Teflon, when you walk on a ToyLeet Tuesday, you won't just be standing in front of me. You'll be standing in front of every truth you never avoided, every flaw in the S you defend, every shadow your dark night hides in. And when it's over, when the lights fade and the crowd goes quiet, you'll understand something. I don't argue to win. I speak to end. And when the truth comes for you, there's no flying away. So let me point this out to you. Run while you can.
To renew your faith in God, you must believe.
So I don't know, man. I'm just gonna leave it right there, dude. Just gonna leave it there. I don't have to say anything else.
Nope, ain't no more to say. I don't think, man. We got
Yeah.
a match coming up
Mike-
on the 2nd of September. DC
Mic
versus
drop.
Marvel. The Teflon against the Wonderful, and we'll see. We'll see what plays out.
Yeah, it'll be the battle of all battles, right? You know, it'll be an opportunity to once and for all show everyone, you know, why Marvel is better than DC. It might have come first, just dies first too. But that said, Teflon, I'll see you on September 2nd. We're on break the next 2 weeks. We'll touch base on that a little bit later. But our next show is again September 2nd, where we'll have some mouth runner, Teflon, join us, and he'll talk his shit about Mr. Superman and the bulletproof S on his chest. But we'll get to that. That said,
let's hit the chat real quick. We got a couple comments.
oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Action Joe saying first week of being 60, he's gone back to school. He's a teacher, so he's not like back to school. He's just going back to school. And yeah, man, I'm only several years behind you. I won't say I'll say more than a few, but less than 10. So I still love my figures just as much today as I did when I was 5. So Endless Fables Brian saying, have you heard of the Titans toy show in Nashville? I've heard of it, never been, never seen like any like floor footage of it or anything, but I've heard of it. Plastic Skulls is in the house. What's up, Plastic Skulls? He was one of our shout-outs a few weeks back. And the man Dan DiBiase's in the house saying evening, everyone. And Teflon is saying, all I hear is Marvel Crybaby running his mouth.
I mean, I wouldn't say that much, but hey, you know, if that's what lets him sleep at night, that's fine.
And Jetman agreeing with you.
Yeah, right. Marvel. Man,
What was that?
that's Marvel.
Oh, the audio just went weird on me. I thought somebody else was speaking, and I'm like, wait, who slipped in here?
And Skunk Works saying, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Jeff, how you doing, brother? And that's it for the chat. So let's jump on into the news. Let's dive in.
That's what we say, right? So here
That's
we
right.
go. So, live from the Crick, it's your ToyLeet Network news for the week of August 12th. Mr. Wonderful in the booth, and let me tell you, this week the toy world is busier than a Mythic Legion's table on preview night. We've got Creator Crown Awards rolling into Titan Toy Expo, Toy Tubers taking over New Jersey, Kickstarters making their final push, and prototypes hitting the road. And yes, even a Carnosaurus getting a facelift. So buckle up, collectors. It's time to run down the biggest drops, updates, and deep cuts into the ToyLeet way, where the only thing limited edition is our patience for plastic lies. This week, we got some updates from the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. First and foremost, we've got the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom production prototype updates here. You can see we've got the factory has been working and progressing, aiming to ship the Kickstarter Wave 1 brawler buck figs like Kali, Prime, and Hannibal before Legion's Cons in November. Limited show sales only if backers receive theirs first, which I know as a backer and a consumer, that's exciting to hear. Hopefully, folks will be able to receive them at Legion's Con because that'll mean I already have them in hand. New prototypes of Corvius, Kanja, and Gresh and Boone will appear at upcoming shows, including Jolana in September and also Legion's Con. There's also, this past weekend there was a couple AWalk Fest live streams. You can see the Tribe on replay over there on the YouTube channel there for, I think it's like Saturday morning something. We'll post a link, or somebody wants to post a link in the chat. I know Brian over there will have that, so if you want to drop that in the chat, that would be awesome. And then we also, there was a Monkey Talk on YouTube this past weekend. I unfortunately haven't had a chance to catch up on those, but I will definitely be checking those out, and I highly recommend you do also. Also, AWalk Collab 52 celebrated its first year anniversary August 13th with a custom AWalk figure giveaway, so go check that out. One of the things I'm going to show here on the next couple slides is a few photos of the Kickstarter update. One of the ones that I thought was really cool and I included was this one right here, because these are being painted by professionals, right? But independent toy creators. And what I think is really cool is the individual that's painting this one. I believe it is being painted by Jason. They're being painted on paper plates. And why that means so much to me is, as someone who has done some minor customizations within, some of the Mattel Elites and things like that, I always found myself using paper plates. So it's really cool to know that my amateur ass is doing the same thing as some of these professionals are doing. So you can see Corvus here. Or not Corvus, this is Greach, or however you pronounce his name. And then you can see a little bit more of the paint apps applied here, really vibrant purple colors, which really set the pace or set the tone, I guess, for this figure with the green offsetting. It looks really cool. Then you'll see again that infamous paper plate where the paint is being done on our little fox friend here. And then you could see some more of the colors apply, which, look just like some of the renders we saw, and they did a really good job. You can see the different face expression there, the extra white layer. These look awesome. You can see the Terminator arm on the right hand side, which looks great. So a really cool update from our friends over at Spiro Toys and the AWOC community. Next up, we have some updates from Creative Beast Studio. First, they have that tabletop card game they're working on coming to Kickstarter. It's that Zoic one here. Survive, Adapt, Evolve is their kind of tagline there. And they revealed their first holographic card sample for the new card game over on their Instagram. They did announce that the Kickstarter is going to launch on September 23rd, 2025. But you can go find more info over at creative-beast.com/Zoic for more information on that if you'd like. They also showed some fine cut updates to the mold, or I guess the sample here that they've been building out for the Carno, and you can see that they've gone ahead and enhanced the tail and jaw movement and alternative brow horn options based on some of the updates they've done. Again, this is just a prototype, but you can pre-order these on the backer kit currently. Next up, you got some updates from Four Horsemen. Nothing major at this time, but they are going to be, and there's a number of other folks that are on this, including, I believe, the Valaverse and Bobby Vala will be there, along with a number of other YouTubers and other independent, creators across the industry here. But there is the Toy Tuber Expo down in New Jersey this weekend on August 17th. I would have absolutely went and attended this because there's a lot of cool folks I would have liked to see or meet in person for the first time, or get together with. But unfortunately, I'll be traveling the day prior down a little bit further than New Jersey. So bad timing for me. But if you're in the area and going to be taking that trip down there, do let us know. I'd like to hear from you and get some photos and hear what you guys are seeing firsthand. So again, Four Horsemen will be there, and again, they'll have their con exclusive figure with a limited selection of other items available for sale. Additionally, one of the things I wanted to call out here and kind of lead into is that we have that Kickstarter Legend of Ramayan. I'm probably pronouncing that horribly, and I do apologize to those working on this. But the Four Horsemen, correction to last week's show, is the Four Horsemen did collaborate on this. They did have some involvement in sculpting, prototype, paint masters, and production for this with the creator for this collector grade line inspired by India's greatest epics and tales. This does end on August 17th, and there is a tribute for Horseman Eric Cornboy Mays painted by Sherry Lynn Cook available. They are at about $31,000, almost $32,000, which is just over half of their Kickstarter funding. As previously mentioned, they are already ready to complete and run with Wave 1. So really the Kickstarter is almost like a pre-order and giving you the opportunity to get in before they're being listed on the other sites. And, you got to go through retailers and whatnot and give you a chance to help them get that second wave kickstarted. So it's like a fast follow shortly thereafter. A little update from Fresh Monkey Fiction. Not a ton out of this area, but a little photo I saw. You can see here they've got a couple different characters, and one of the questions that the big bad workshop talks about is the part swappability, and kind of highlighted that you can swap parts around on these figures, and use them across the different different kind of IPs that they have. So I saw that today and wanted to share that with folks who may not be as familiar with that line or those lines by the workshop. Also, one of the last updates here, from Savage Crucible here, is that the Creator Crown awards are coming to Titans Toy Expo. That's in Tennessee. Unfortunately, not while I'm going to be there, but in late October, October 25th and 26th. And there will be these awards. There's a ton of information available at CreatorCrownAwards.com. There's customs. There's a photo contest. There's all sorts of like contests. I believe there's some diorama contests, things like that. And you have the opportunity to win cash prizes up to $5,000, I believe. And it's, all around the idea of having a ton of customization and tying into these unique independent creators, which is really cool. So if you're in the area or planning to go check out a con, this sounds like a very exciting and cool one that not only can you enjoy the things that you'll see there, but also have the opportunity to compete against some of your peers and others in the toy photography and customization space, like the creator area. Again, check that out. If you're going, do please let us know, because we'd love to see some photos and get updates from you guys as you're doing that. Share them on our Instagram as we move forward. And that's a wrap on your ToyLeet Network news for the week of August 12th. From award shows to AWOC road trips, Kickstarters to card games, we've seen it all this week, and we're just getting warmed up. Keep your shelves dusted, your figures posed, and your wallets cautiously open. This is Mr. Wonderful signing off from the Crick, reminding you to collect what you love and love what you collect. Now back to the show. Hey Ed,
Hey, I'm back.
do you want to hit?
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah, we got some comments related to the news. So,
okay.
your buddy, your friend, your pal, Adam, highly articulated, says, "Monkey talk, dude. Monkey talk, dude."
What did I call it?
Something. I think monkey business.
Monkey talk. Is that not what it is?
I don't know if that's what you said.
Oh crap! I might have mixed up my things and typed down it's monkey business. My bad. You're right. So whatever.
He's your pal.
Adam. Thanks,
He's
man.
your pal.
I appreciate
He's
it.
keeping you straight with that AWOC stuff. Teflon saying the AWOC iguana is a thing of beauty. Yeah, the AWOC iguana is pretty sweet. Brian from Endless Fable saying AWOC collab 1 year anniversary is the 20th, so that's next week.
Oh, man.
Jetman asking about the AWOC Thane figure. Yeah, AWOC Thane is cool. I don't remember the big other gorilla that was. There was the orange one from the PowerCon, and then they had the gray one that was one of the guards. I can't remember their names. And then there's Adam asking, what time will the Zoic KS or Kickstarter launch, Travis? Do you know?
No, but thanks,
He
Adam.
might be fucking with you with that question,
Oh, I know he is.
And then there's this guy, Punk with Toys, stopping in saying, hello, fools. Just checked and still no Hexastack.
Yeah, I mean, I've already responded in the chat to him. There will never, ever be not Hexastack. It's not an I. There's an A. There's an A.
Hexastack. Yeah, he doesn't even know how to spell. He can't read or spell, though. So, I mean, that's...
It's punk.
Yeah.
It's punk.
That's it for the chat, brother.
Awesome. So, again, tonight's episode, for every collector who's been burned by a pre-order, every inbox buyer who thought they were securing something rare just to see it go on clearance a few weeks later, every person who ever clicked buy now because of the dreaded only 3 left tag when there were actually warehouses full. We're not just talking about bad figures tonight, we're talking about bad faith. That's the difference between building hype and baiting your fan base. And we're going to dig into the lines some toy companies crossed and how it's not just frustrating, it's kind of manipulative. But that isn't all doom and gloom. Again, we're going to break down how to spot some of these tactics, and what companies are doing it the right way and how we can stay informed while still loving this hobby. So, Ed, has there ever been a moment where you felt whatever, dude, whatever? That's only because you and your figures are like 2 inches tall. That said, Ed, what, what?
I'm going to be doing nothing but debates with you here soon. You keep running your mouth, boy. You've been watching too much wrestling lately.
I guess.
All these
Monday nights they were
all these shoots coming
boring.
out of you.
Mondays were boring until Raw got good, so I didn't really
Uh,
know what to do.
anyway, go ahead
Um,
with your question.
yeah, so I was gonna ask you, has there ever been a moment where you felt straight up duped, like something you bought that was made you go, oh, they got me good, right? Like, you thought it was exclusive, or things like that. Has there ever been a scenario like that for you?
I will say this. I don't think an actual toy manufacturer has ever duped me. Have I been
Okay,
duped by a seller or a retailer or a distributor? Absolutely.
fair enough. Fair enough. I mean,
Oh, you're
I
getting
kind of
called the
feel
heel. You're getting called the heel, brother.
RLH, buddy. RLH, born it, been it, always be it. Real life heel. If you can't beat him, join him. Woo. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's been times that, like Mattel, not Mattel, Hasbro. I feel like Hasbro's done it a few times, like, when during COVID, when they had some of their San Diego Comic Con stuff, and, you thought Serpentor was going to be, you're able to get them, and, it was limited run, and then they released it again, and then they released it again, and then they released it again. And what I mean by that is they didn't re-release it at a much later time, but they had the same stock fulfillment, right? And they released it
Yeah.
into the public purchase. And I feel like sometimes they've done things like that. I know it's still, a smaller count, but I feel like what they should do when they're doing those limited runs, I think they should number them,
Yeah.
just like
I tell you,
cards.
dude, I have been very vocal over the past several years about how exclusives are not exclusives anymore, right? Because every exclusive, it's exclusive to this con, but then you can go on their site or you can go somewhere else and order it, a week after the con's over, right? We shouldn't call them exclusives anymore, unless it's going to be exclusive to Walmart. Because if it's exclusive to Walmart, then it's exclusive to Walmart, right? Most of the time.
Yeah,
But like these show exclusives and stuff, people are always, oh, this is an exclusive. Well, it's not an exclusive because a week later people can buy it from Hasbro Pulse, or it's going to go to Amazon as a exclusive for them, right? So
yeah,
it's technically not an exclusive. Back in the day when I was collecting, when you got an exclusive, if you weren't at the show, you were paying secondary market prices for it. That's how you got it if you wanted it that bad, right?
yeah,
Or you knew
absolutely.
somebody going to that show, right? I mean, that was the only way to do it. And that's
Yeah,
what
I
made
mean,
exclusives. That's what made exclusives valuable.
yeah, I mean, here's an example, right? I have two of them: the Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 12 Mattel Collector's exclusive, right? I think it was like $50 or something like that. They were supposed to be very limited, and that was it, right? They're showing up in Ollie's now for
Yeah.
$25.
Yep.
So that to me says they mass produced, like they went overkill. They didn't limit run it. They didn't just take the
Yeah.
pre-orders and only produce what they had the pre-orders for. So I felt like that was slightly misleading. Like, I mean, I'm okay with it, but I wouldn't have necessarily bought the second one if I knew that there was a chance
Yeah.
that
Exactly.
it
Right.
was going to be back on the shelf at another time, because then maybe I would have just got the one, had my open box one, and then maybe got a second one at a later time at a fraction of the price. So definitely is a deceitful tactic in my opinion. When they did the Logan Paul a few years ago through Matty Collector, or whatever their site's called, or Matty Collectibles, or whatever they are, they definitely they ran it the one time. You didn't find them anywhere else.
Yeah.
Those resale values are through the roof. I open mine. I have them on the shelf. I'm not looking to profit off of it, but I like knowing that I have one of the
I mean,
few
I
of
get
that figure.
part of it because in today's economy, right? It's cheaper to manufacture 10,000 figures as opposed to 5,000 because you get you know, your
Price
MEQ
break.
all
Yep.
down and everything else, right? But back, like I was saying, back when exclusives were truly exclusives, like you said, they were, some of them were numbered, but a lot of them weren't. But they were still, 1 to 1,000, 1 to 2,000,
Yeah.
1 to 2,500, whatever it is, right? And that was it. If you
Yep.
didn't have one of those, you were done. And now they're just like, okay, we'll just make a bunch for the show. Whatever doesn't sell at the show, we'll bring back and just, sell on our site, and it'll still be considered exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's jump in a
I mean,
little
it's
bit
just
more,
like,
right?
I'll tell you what. Here's one to answer your question of getting kind of duped. Okay, Bobby Valaverse, he did that Condor with the undercover Condor, or whatever he
The
called it.
mail-in. The
Yeah,
mail-in.
the mail-in. So it was 20 points or 14 points, whatever. I think it was 20 points with $14 for shipping or whatever, right?
Yep.
So a regular figure at that time was going for like $32 or something.
I think so, yeah.
And each figure was 3 points. So in order to get 3 points, you basically had to buy 7 figures, which totals out to be $210 plus all the shipping and whatever you paid to get them. And then after those didn't go as well as he thought, or he had overproduced them, whatever the reason was, he sold them at cons for $45. So
Yep.
I got mine by investing $200+ with plus all the shipping into your company, and then you turn around and sell them to everybody for $45, right? That's kind of a
Yeah.
dick dupe move, right?
Yeah, I mean that one to me isn't in the same level as maybe the Maddie one, because we're talking independent toy line, right? So we're not talking at the same level. And I believe that situation was, and again, this is just having followed a lot of his posts and a lot of his videos, I definitely felt that he was in a very tough place. He wasn't, he was trying to do something that gave us all that nostalgia feel of, collecting the,
I
cereal
hundred
box
percent
things.
I hundred
And
percent respect that part of it, right? The Joe flag points that you mailed away and
yeah,
got the Manta with, or the
yeah,
the Coded Cobra Commander with, or whatever, right?
yep,
But and I understand that you can't just sit on the stock and hope something happens, or do another mail away for more, right? With points, because it's just not
yeah,
going to happen. It's a one
right,
time kind of thing for that one figure,
yep,
But it's still right, kind of a dick move to turn around, and then, like Matthew's saying here, they ended up being sold at cons eventually for $25, right?
oh man,
So I mean, it's not. I
yeah, that's
understand the play, but it's still not a cool thing to do to your fans.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I do know that, having saw and watched some of the conundrum he was dealing with through that, and remember hearing him try to, communicate with the community, find out what was best for everyone, try to find a middle ground, because he didn't want to do you and me a disservice because of the early buy-in, but he was trying to find a way that he didn't lose out by doing that, at the same time ensuring there was some balance. But it can't be perfect, right? And I think that I think he lessons learned from that one in that situation too, because I feel like he went ahead, and I don't think he's done that same approach, and he's been very clear since the beginning that since after that first issue with the Condor, and that legacy nostalgia feel wasn't as high or as big of a mover as maybe initially considered. And because honestly, that's a lot of work, right? Think about that. Like the work that goes into that for a small independent toy to take those things in, make sure they have the right amount, take in the payment, like all that stuff. That
Yeah,
could be a hassle.
I could
But
tell
like,
you his plan from the start though screwed himself, right? So
yeah,
Bobby on his site at that point in time was doing a standard flat rate $8 shipping.
right.
So this figure was 20 points plus 14.95, right? So he more than made his money back. Back when you did it with GI Joe and those other flag points, right? It was strictly the flag points plus 2.99 for shipping. Now I realize
Yeah,
shipping is not 2.99 anymore. But
right.
had he done, it's 30 action points, whatever it is, right? And then $10 shipping, he would have sold a lot more of those, or gotten rid of a lot more
Yeah,
of those. You
and I
can't
mean, I think
ask for
also,
flag points, then an additional fee on top of it, because that's not how
yeah,
that nostalgia works. It's not how it ever was.
yeah. But that was explained from the get go. Like that didn't change. That was always the
It didn't
announcement and the
change, but
approach.
I'm saying
So,
from
but it was a bad
his
move,
plan. It was his plan. That was
right?
a flawed plan.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So we're digging into it a little bit more, right? And we kind of already started to cover on this. This is the foundation of it all, right? It's that false scarcity. We've already kind of alluded to it. The mailaways, the San Diego Comic Cons. We've seen, oh, there's only gonna be 1,000. Pre-orders are limited, right?
Yeah.
This will never be made again until it is.
Right.
Companies know the urgency, sells, right? Like that's the goal, right? Like here's the thing. This is not me being critical of the company, but Four Horsemen, they just did this with the Dragon. They said it will never be made again. This version of the Dragon will never be made again. It is a very costly thing. It is definitely a dream project. One I think is really truly, just knowing the community and the company, it seems like this is more of a let's make it happen to say we did it, not necessarily because it's going to make us mounds and mounds of profits and we're going to be able to reuse it. Hopefully, they stick to their word in that and that they don't re-release that dragon in its full or even close to its current state, because that will stink.
Here's
for sure.
here's another stinker with that dragon, right? They said that this dragon will never be sold at retail, right?
Right.
It's going to be exclusively through Mythic Legion's the store horsemen.
Yep.
Shortly after the Dragon campaign ended, it was up on BBTS for pre-order. Now, that's not saying that BBTS didn't pre-order 10 or 15 or 20 of them, whatever it was, right? Okay. I get
Right.
that part of it. They have no control over that part. But they shouldn't have let BBTS put that type of order in to resell them, to keep it truly exclusive and never sold anywhere else. You're never going to get it again. Because I can tell you, there's probably people that didn't pay their mortgage that month so they could get the Dragon when they could have waited and paid another $100, but still got it through BBTS and saved up that money over the course of a year instead of the course of a couple months.
Yeah, I mean that's a slippery slope. Telling them that they can't, that's like telling me if I had the funds and whatnot, right? If my life didn't get meshed up and deal with a bunch of changes, that I was going to go out and buy 4 of them, and
right,
do that, right? Like, and then
and
have
Adam,
them to to do
Adam's
those things,
saying
right?
BBTS pre-ordered some, no way to stop them from doing it. I understand that part, but it's
I mean,
still,
there's ways they could have fought, and they could have been like, well, if you do this, BBTS, we're gonna pull your Mythic Legion sales, right? Like we're not gonna let you. They could have done that, but I also think they were trying to do that for the consumers and say, look, we're not, if BBTS, I mean, it's BBTS in that situation is no different than you and I purchasing more than one and listing one on eBay at immediately thereafter or in a year when we get it.
I get
So,
that
like,
point of it, right? But it
it's
still kind of stings when they made it very clear that this would never be sold at retail. And then BBTS, which I understand is a privately owned company, can do whatever the hell they want to, as long as it follows the law. I get that, right? But it still kind of stings when someone just, risked not paying their car payment or their mortgage payment to get this $1,000 Dragon, and then find out that it's available for pre-order. And it wasn't like just up for a couple hours on BBTS. I mean, it was up for a while.
I'd be curious how many they sold. But that said, that's a bigger issue for another topic.
Yeah.
And that's don't go broke buying plastic.
Right.
Like if you're not paying your car payment, you're not paying your mortgage, your lights are getting turned off because you had to buy that Dragon. We got a whole different conversation here, and it's probably along the lines of alcoholism and drug addiction
that'd be a
and
good
other
topic
issues
to get into, right? How bad is plastic addiction really?
Right. Yeah. So I think that's a different piece. We can go down that rabbit hole another time. That said, there's a lot of that. We've seen it. The companies are taking advantages of FOMO. It's truly what it is, right? Big retailers, small retailers, manufacturers. They put Four Horsemen does a great job. Doing their pre-sales, right? They just wrapped up one of their pre-sales. You had until Savage Crucible just did it. You have had until the 8th of August to pre-order that stand and the iguana and stuff.
Right.
And after that you got to go to a different price. So it's that pushing. It's that trying to get you to buy in immediately.
I get early bird pricing, right? That's been the thing since capitalism was started, right? You buy it early, you get it cheaper, and every company does that. I don't think that's like like you got to remember that these companies have to market, right? Every time you turn on the TV, Ford is the best truck, Coca-Cola is the best, cola product, Tylenol is the best pain reliever out on the market, right? And
Yep.
everybody certainly has a different opinion because I know people that won't drink a Coca-Cola, it's got to be Pepsi, right? I know
Right.
people that
Right.
won't drive a Ford truck. It's got to be a Chevy or a Dodge or whatever it is, right?
Right.
And I know people that swear by ibuprofen or
Well,
Motrin or whatever and don't care about Tylenol at all. So I mean, those are marketing campaigns, and I think that's kind of where the early bird pricing falls in. And you can't
yeah.
take what they're doing as far as a marketing campaign goes as a lie because it's just marketing. They're not saying you got to buy this now or you're never going to get it again. That's a straight up, bullshit story, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's the
For the
piece,
most
right?
part.
So so that leads me, and I may have kind of already touched on this. We asked if you've ever been duped or whatever, but what's one of the recent drops where you saw the heavily cleared, they heavily, cleared. Sorry, they definitely like blurred the lines of how a stock was going to be limited, but it really wasn't limited at all.
So I'll go up to this one that Adam mentioned up here that I just also was kind of befuddled to. The Four Horsemen definitely making it seem like the Paladin Cleric was going to be absolutely an SDCC exclusive.
It absolutely was. It was originally stated you could only get it there on site. The only way you were going to get it was there. You would get an alternative version in the future was the
Right.
original voice and message that was sent.
Yep.
It definitely pivoted for sure.
Yeah.
But
That was
that's
probably
a
the
huge
most,
one, right?
yeah, it's probably one of the most recent ones that I remember seeing that, you know, that this is going to
And
be only available there.
and what's sad for that situation is that Four Horsemen would have sold out every single one of those figures anyways without saying that on
Right.
site that day if they had 1,000 or
100%. Yeah.
2,000 units.
100%.
But now what they did was they pushed it, making everyone think they weren't going to be able to ever get it again. But now, if you back the Kickstarter, I believe you'll be able to get that same one.
Yeah.
I believe that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam is pointing that out, so I think that's a great example. So next, we talk about limited editions that aren't, I think, or chases, right? Because this might be the most overused label in the toy game, right?
Yeah.
When we think about it, you get the same sculpt. It's repainted in a colorway that barely existed, maybe from a concept sketch or some random scene that was blurry in the background.
Right.
Then they slap a chase sticker on it, and suddenly everybody's scrambling for that one.
Yeah.
The issue here, though, the issue I see is most of these are mass produced, so it has artificial rarity.
So,
That's not truly hard to find.
yeah, in today's world, that's true, right? Back in the day, the chase figures were definitely chase figures, right? You were getting one per every, 7 cases, 8 cases, whatever the division worked out to be. I
Yeah.
think Bobby with his bloody variants that he's done at cons, as far as the ones that are the limited run versions, I think he's done a good job of keeping them truly limited. He doesn't see the figures; he just hands it to the person, and your luck is your luck,
Yeah,
right?
they're blind boxes, right?
But you look at McFarlane. I know more people have seen the chase style figures at the retail than they've seen the standard version. So, like, why is this a chase figure if it's more available than the regular version?
Yep. There was a bunch of the WWE Mattel Elite Legends wave where they had a Lex Luger figure actually, and there was like a black Trunks and I want to say an orange Trunks one, and I think the orange was supposed to be the Chase one. And I saw 4 or 5 of those on the shelf. I didn't see any of the black Trunks one, and the orange one was supposed to be the Chase at Target. Who was the exclusive, Legends or Hall of Fame, whatever it was, the line that they were doing for a little bit. So, they do that often. You're right, though. Valaverse, they do a good job with those. I think if you're going to do chases, they have to be numbered. Just like sports cards, right? Like I'll know exactly how many of those sports cards have been produced when they're the 1 of 99, 1 of 1,000, 1 of 5,000. If you're
Yeah.
going to do that in the toys and because you're trying to play on that collector, just like the card collector mentality of getting that exclusive
Yeah.
1 of, then the figure these chase figures absolutely need to be stamped individually.
Yeah,
Is it a
and
little bit more work for 'em?
McFarlane
Yeah.
with his Spawn figures used to do that, right? There's a
Oh,
Spawn
okay.
variant, and it's 1 of 400 or 500, whatever his number was, right? And they were all numbered, and people were buying cases, right? I'll buy a whole 2 case, 3 cases, 5 cases of this wave of figure and hope that I get one of the chase figures, right? And they were
Yeah.
rare.
Yeah.
They were rare.
Yeah, and I think I kind of alluded to this before, but there's retailer exclusives. We've already kind of touched on that. That's a mess, right?
Yeah.
Because nowadays so many things end up being at Ollie's or Ross, right? So yeah, Target had them, then they offload them to somebody else,
Well, I
and
think I don't think the way that stores do the SKUs nowadays is the same either, because I've seen stuff at my Walmart which are Target exclusives that have been returned and put back on the store shelf, right? With a
oh
price.
wow,
Because I think it comes down to the SKU. The SKU, a lot of the waves are under one SKU, even though each figure has its
gotcha.
own SKU. A lot of times they put the peg up with the single SKU for the whole wave. So when they scan it, it doesn't matter if it's not part of that store's exclusive or not, and then it ends up at Target or Walmart when it shouldn't be there.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I guess another piece, right, is that, limited runs, right? I'll use the example that I feel like the San Diego Comic Con, what was his name? I had it, I said it earlier. Not Cobra Commander. Oop.
What, Serpentor?
Yeah, Serpentor. Sorry, give me 1 second. Gotta represent. I hit the escape button on my keyboard here. Yeah, the whatchamacallit, the Serpentor, right? Like I felt like that was a limited run, and then they just kept posting it over and over and over again,
Yeah.
right? So like,
And
like there was
they're doing the
multiple
same
times.
thing with Dr. Mindbender, right? And I get it because
Yep.
fans want the figure. I get that part of it, right? And there's nothing
Yep.
wrong with doing an exclusive for a con that's, like you said, alternate cover from a comic book, or
Yeah.
some random costume or something that the character was wearing for 5 seconds of a movie or a show.
Yep.
But you shouldn't make a standard figure an exclusive to begin with, because of course fans are going to scream for it. Number two, if you're going to say it's an exclusive, you can't release the same figure and just say, oh, well, like Mythic Legions does it, but everybody knows Mythic Legions is going to do this, right? They give you an exclusive, and they're really making the exclusive figure exclusive parts. So you buy the figure, and there's 4 exclusive parts in that package with the figure. That's what makes it
Right.
exclusive. You're not
Yeah.
getting an exclusive figure, because that figure is going to be sold in a standard package without those 4 exclusive parts. Everybody knows that
Yeah.
game already with them. But like Hasbro, they're planning on doing Major or Dr. Mindbender again. And if they don't give it to the fans in the standard Dr. Mindbender version, they're not going to buy it anyway, because they want the standard version, which was an exclusive.
Right. Yeah. And I guess, to me, what we're kind of calling out here, right? It's just marked as limited. In the end, it's really just theater, right?
Right. Yes.
So, that leads me to kind of ask you the question, Ed, is are there any actual chases that you respect, or is the whole concept just is it just dead to you at this point?
I don't believe it anymore. I don't. Like I said, Bobby Valla, I've been impressed with the way that he's handled the chase figures that he's done.
The
But
bloody variants like Pandora and stuff.
outside of that, I don't really see people doing chase figures that are true chase figures anymore.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I definitely would agree with that for sure. Okay. That kind of takes right to the next piece right here. Smart marketing, or is it deception, right? So
Yeah.
the thing is, we're definitely, we're not anti-marketing, right? Great
Yeah.
marketing builds the excitement. It fuels community. It's part of the fun at the end of the day, right?
Marketing's part of
there's a
my
difference,
everyday
though.
life, man. So I mean, it's
Right.
I get it
Right.
all. I get the concept of it.
But there's a difference, right, between smart marketing and what at least you and I have talked about, right, as manipulative marketing, right?
Right.
Smart marketing is is showing prototypes. It's explaining the production limits, right? It's rewarding loyal fans with early access, right?
Yeah.
Manipulative marketing is fake sellouts, right? Like, Serpentor, they sold out. Oh wait, nope. Just saw somebody post on Facebook.
Yep.
They're back in stock.
Yeah.
Surprised.
Well,
They had planned to
they just
do
did it with
restocks over and over.
the Cold Slither, right? They
Oh,
sold
did
them
they?
at SDCC. They came back, put it up on Pulse. It was live for 2 minutes, sold out. Went live
Okay.
again, sold out, and then it went live again. Then it stayed live for like a week or something. So I mean, it's like
And
okay,
see, that's
So people
wrong.
probably the thing with this is it's not a big deal because maybe they're trying to keep some in reserve or whatever, right, for another day, whatever. I get it, but don't make it look like okay, when this goes live, I'm going to buy 3 more of these at $120 a pop, because that way when I sell them a month or 2 months down the road, when people are really clamoring for them, I can sell them for 3 times as much as I paid, right? And that's all they're
Yeah.
doing. They're actually creating, scalpers. I mean, that's really what they're doing. They're creating a scalpers market.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's essentially kind of like one-time runs that magically become run a restock, right?
Right.
It's a restock. Oh, it's still the same run, but we're restocking, but
Yeah.
was it really? And I don't want to point fingers, but I do know that last year there was a big uproar in the Mythic community where they had found a bunch of boxes in the warehouse of some older product that was getting released, and they may have even, if I remember correctly, there might have been a re-release of a figure or like a more modern version of it being done. And I think there was a bunch of chatter about how no, that's not right. It nerfed the value of my
Mm-hmm.
collectible, and you just re-released it. And I think with modern
People were
figures, I
upset.
think
People
fans
were upset when the first retailer wave from Mythic Legions came out,
maybe that's what it is.
because they were saying that the original figures that I have that are worth $400 or $5,000, whatever it is, I don't know, have now lost their value because people are just going to go out and get the retailer exclusive, right? If you're
Right.
like, it's not like they're doing a knight, because a knight can be redone a million times over. You give it a different head, give it a different name, it's a different knight, right? But
Okay.
to take something like whatever their, I can't remember the name of their He-Man and Skeletor tribute figures, right? If you're going to redo those in the same style with just a little bit different paint apps or whatever, you're going to ruin the collectability of the original ones. People are still going to
Right.
want the original ones, but the collector that's like, I got to have all of these Horseman figures, and this is the only one I can't find because I haven't been able to get it for less than $500 yet or whatever, is going to go, oh, well, I'll just take this retailer exclusive now because
Yeah.
I can buy it for $50 as opposed to 500, and it's going to fit in the collection just fine, and it's going to be okay.
And I think what that alludes to is that that kind of stuff damages trust, right?
Right.
And once collectors start to lose trust in a brand, it gets hard to get them back. I'll
Right.
speak from the Savage Crucible side. Currently, Savage Crucible stated that anything that was part of these original waves from the Kickstarter, they would never be reproduced, right? Like they would not reproduce the exact same ones again. You
Right.
wouldn't see that same Como of the Isles or that same Who-Man being re-released down the road, as a run 2 or anything like that. So far, they have stayed true to their word, and I do hope they do, because I would hate to see them backtrack on that. And I
Right.
hope they find a way to make sure that, and that again, all my stuff's open and out of the box, but there's something about it that it's like call me an idiot, whatever you want, but I like the idea of knowing that I have these figures because I backed them all the way in the beginning, and
Right.
I'll always have them. And if you weren't there with me, you don't get to be there with me without spending
Right.
that exponential amount of money with somebody else.
100%.
So to me, it's like having that Spider-Man #1. If you didn't grab it off the shelf, you're paying a crap ton of money for it. And I
And,
said
I mean,
Spider-Man #1,
like
not Superman. Just be real.
yeah, when Bobby did his STS, right, which was the special deployment series, because people were saying, "Oh, we missed out on Wave 1 because we got in late to the collection," and that's the reason why the Four Horsemen do the retailer exclusives and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep the fans happy, give the fans what they want, and I get that part of it. But it's still damaging to fans that have been with you from the beginning, right? Because there's other things you can do. You can just say, hey, I'm sorry, we're not going to reproduce this figure, right? We're not going to reproduce anything that's like this figure. We're going to give you an updated version in a different outfit, different costume, different set of armor, whatever it is, because this is, him in the woods and this is him in his castle, whatever the case may be. This is
Right.
him out in the field. This is him back at the home office, whatever it is, right? I get that
Yeah.
part. You could put him in a suit, put him in a, fatigues, right? You can do that for the same figure, but to reproduce the same figure just because the fans didn't get a chance to get it. He did the same thing with the Condor. Bobby did, right? Oh, the fans that didn't get a chance to get it because they don't have flag points are going to miss out. Too fucking bad. That's what I would say as a company, right?
I mean,
This
you're
is what
you're really strong on that because of the con. You're like that
right.
with the con. If you can't
Yep.
get to San Diego Comic Con, you don't get it. You don't have somebody that can pick it up for
No,
you. You don't get
it's
it.
just the way
That's
it
just how
is.
it is.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean that checks
Going
out
back
and
to what
makes
you're
sense.
saying, right? Like I said in the beginning, there's a big difference between doing a marketing campaign where you're saying, oh, Ford trucks are built tough, they're tougher than Dodge and Chevy, right? That's just a
Right.
normal part of marketing campaigns, I mean, you hear it all the time, Kraft macaroni and cheese is the best. I know a lot of people that hate Kraft macaroni and cheese, but I know people that love, the Walmart brand or, some other knockoff brand of macaroni and cheese.
Right.
They're all made in the same factory. So, I mean, how can you say this is best? But that's
Right.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
marketing,
Yeah. Absolutely.
trying to get people to buy that one brand,
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I agree with that. Like, there's a balance though, right? I think that's really what it comes down to is
Yeah.
there's got to be a balance to it. Otherwise, it's always going to be an issue. And there's finding the right way to do that re-release
Yeah.
appropriately. Completely different, right? That said, you kind of alluded to it, but is there an example of smart marketing that you could think of that should be standard? And maybe one time that a line definitely crossed the line.
Standard marketing. I'm going to say this, and a lot of people probably aren't going to agree, or maybe they don't care, or maybe whatever, right? Fresh Monkey Fiction, they had their naughty and nice stuff, their first wave of naughty and nice. And it took a while to get it to the store, I should say, because it only sold at BBTS. Once it got there, it got sold out. The only figures they re-released so far is the standard Santa Claus, the regular old jolly old Saint Nick with the glasses and the pipe and the, naughty or nice list and all that.
They re-released the deer though too, the reindeer, right?
No, they never re-released them. They did a sale, it didn't fund, and then they tried to do the sale again.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
And I'm sure I like some of the elves, and a lot of the other Santa Clauses are nothing but repaints and repackages and stuff like that, right? But they're also giving you a bunch of different options, but they're not saying this is exclusive, right? The only thing they've said so
Right.
far that it's exclusive to is BBTS, which they've held true to that so far, because now they will because it's Big Bad Workshop, right? And then
Right.
secondly, the one that they said is the con exclusive, which you can get at any con through the year. You pre-order and it's going to go into your basket. And they've already said very clearly that it's going to be available on the Big Bad Toy Store site after it's at the con. Now, do I think
Okay.
that's good? No, but they were very transparent with it right from the beginning that if you can't get to a con this year, you'll still be able to get this.
Okay, and that's what the Four Horsemen have done. That's what Valaverse has done.
Right.
Seems like a lot of the independent toy guys are doing that. I think it's the big box stores, the big box guys. The mainstream guys.
I think
it's
some of
the
the
Hasbros,
some
the
of the
Mattels.
independents. I think the independents get themselves in trouble because they want to have the exclusive, right? And the problem is that they say, they go out and they stand on their soapbox and they preach it that it's an exclusive to this con or that con, and they make it sound like it's only available at that con. And I don't think they intentionally are trying to deceive you. I think it's more of a lack of wording things correctly and being completely transparent, and
And
not intentionally, right? They're not doing it to be deceptive. They're just doing it for not following through all the way.
Yeah, I think it's they realize they backed themselves in a corner with this statement. I
Right.
think most are getting better at that.
Yes,
I think
100%.
most are saying that's going to be like I feel like Savage Crucible is the first one that comes to mind. Is that like when they had the conclusive right
Yeah.
from their wave one, that was going to be available at all the cons, right? Like
Right.
that's how you were going to be able to get it. If you backed it on the Kickstarter, you get it there, but you could
Yeah.
also pick it up at the cons. That was going
Now,
to be their exclusive for the year for that con.
right.
This year, I don't know what they're doing. Bobby kind of has started to do that too this year, very clearly saying that this is going to come out this time. It's going to be ready for the Rhode Island show, and then it'll be available at all the future cons, and then later in the year after con season
Right.
wraps up, it'll flood the website with
Right.
whatever's
And
left,
I,
which I
I
think is the
understand.
appropriate way to say it.
Right. I understand that part of it, right? Because if you go to the con, like the Four Horsemen figure, if you went to SDCC or you had somebody else go there and get it for you, right? You're not getting an exclusive figure. You're getting an early access to a figure is what they
Early
should do.
release, yeah,
Yeah.
early release.
You're getting an early, yeah, you're picking it up earlier than anybody else at the con.
Yeah,
Right. So you have the first dibs to blow it up on Instagram or review it on YouTube or whatever it is you're going to do with it. Right. Or just be a person that says, I was the first person to buy this. Right. Kind of like you with your Kickstarter
right.
shit, or you got to want to be,
Yeah,
number one backer. Right.
right, right,
I
right.
do believe that a lot of
Absolutely.
companies, though, that have done Kickstarter exclusives that can only be ordered through the Kickstarter, I think they've done a good job with those. Where the ones that have funded, you know, have sent out the exclusive Kickstarter product, and that's the only place that I've ever seen those, except eBay and secondary markets and stuff.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, no, that's good. Awesome. So how do we protect ourselves, right? Step one, we track the patterns. If a brand has restocked every limited release for the last 12 months, maybe we wait until next time,
Yeah,
i.e., Hasbro. Step two, we check their language, right? Words like limited, premium, or collector grade, they sound great, but if they're not backed up with transparency, individually numbered, those types of things, it's probably just fluff to some degree, right?
yes,
Support transparency, right? Four Horsemen tells you when restocks are coming. Valaverse posts behind the scenes updates often, SDS. Spiro Toys gives full transparency on tooling, shipping, delays, all of that stuff, right?
yep,
These are creators who value their community. They're building it with us, not
yeah.
just off of us.
And the
So
other
if we
the other
continue,
part of that with the wording and stuff is you also have to filter through what some of the retailers are saying, right? Because a lot of the retailers are just as at fault as the actual manufacturers are. And that goes for
yep,
everybody, big companies and independents. They sell it through BBTS and BBTS says, "Oh, this is going to be, like Target with the Trouble Bubble." The second release of the Trouble Bubble, right? It was supposed to be
yep.
$55. Target did something wrong, marked it at $45. So Hasbro Pulse made that Trouble Bubble $45 because they had to, right?
Oh wow, I didn't even
But
realize that.
that was a Target mess up. So Target
Thanks,
could
Target.
say this is, an exclusive to only Target, not realizing that it's a fan's hobby, or a hobby store, exclusive. So anybody that is considered a store can basically sell it, and it's not really
Okay.
a big deal.
Gotcha.
Fan
So,
channel
just
exclusive. That's the word.
yeah, fan channel exclusive. That's the word. Yeah. So, kind of wrapping up what I was saying there is, if we continue to put our dollars behind those companies, those that are more transparent than others, that's how we push the industry forward, right? It's going to force those others, right? If our spending dollars, our plastic dollars are being spent on those independent toys, which just goes back to the core, right? Focusing on supporting those in the community that aren't just building companies off of us, but for us and with us. That's how we're going to win in the end. So what I'm going to ask you last, Ed, before we, wrap up this topic is, what's one toy company that's really earned your trust lately, and how are they doing it right?
Well, I'm going to tell you, so far from what I've seen from Savage Crucible, I've been very happy with them. They had the figures, they said Wave 2 was coming out. I didn't back the Kickstarter, but they had it available at Joe Fest. Right now, from like what you were saying, and what I've seen so far, They said they're not going to re-release any of the one figures, the first wave of figures, or re-release any figures. Let's put it that way. So, like you said, hopefully they stick to that. The other company, I would still go with Fresh Monkey Fiction, because here's the thing: they do a lot of pre-orders, and yes, it takes time, and they're slow. I understand that. People complain about it all the time. But other than the BBTS deal, where if you put the whole wave on pre-order and you put the $25 deposit down, which is really BBTS, not Fresh Monkey Fiction, that did that to start with. That's just securing them, ordering that number of figures, right? I get it. I think that them not taking any money and still showing, the stuff that they can show and trying to give updates when they can, I think that they are on their way to being one of the better companies to collect.
Okay. Yeah, I
Like,
wouldn't disagree with either of those.
right.
I was gonna say Fresh Monkey Fiction. While I don't have their toys, they have come through. They put pauses on pre-orders of sequential, lines.
Yep.
I also will echo the Savage Crucible. I think they do a very good job with that too. I think that I think Four Horsemen's going to be just fine. I think they've been
Yeah.
consistently transparent with things,
Yeah.
as long as they don't fumble some of the bigger things like the dragon or
Yeah. I think
if they
Four
don't.
Horsemen right now with what they've done are absolutely fine, right? And the little
Yeah,
things that they do that you can nitpick or whatever, they've been around long enough doing the same thing every time long enough that people just
yeah,
know that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just stated, right? It's like
right.
it's just kind of common knowledge at this point in time, right? It's
Yeah, and I would even go as far as Spiro's done a good job,
Yep.
on theirs. I know that we're coming through their second wave or their second Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It'll be very important that Kickstarter goes smoother than their first one. I didn't back the Kickstarter for the first one because I wasn't in the game in that space at the time.
Right.
But I know that there was definitely a few people that were disgruntled with how things panned out. I lucked out and just bought from retailers, so it worked out for me. My experiences with Spiro have been extremely,
Oh yeah.
positive since the get go. Whether it be direct to order,
Yep.
direct issue, direct things in, at cons. But I think it'll be hugely important for their next series that
Yeah,
they have through the
and I
Kickstarter to
think
be successful. And I think the first thing that
Spirit
they did
Toys
really good.
Spirit Toys did a
Oh,
really good job. They've stuck to what they've said, and like, Brick and Adam helping out Jason, they're very transparent about any delays, where they are in the process, all of the stuff, right? And like Hella Dope Toys was one of the first ones to get wave 2, I think it was, or wave 3, one of those waves. And they were one of the first ones to get it in their store because Jason got it to them early. Not early, but they were.
I think it was wave one because it was the first wave that I got.
Was it? Yeah, so wave 1.
Yeah, I
Either
think it was
way,
wave one.
they sold out and needed a restock, and Jason had another shipment going to them, like a second restock before, anybody else even got theirs and listed it up on the site or anything as far as in stock
Yeah,
goes, right? And not that Jason was showing any preferential treatment to them, but hey, if you got a toy store that's selling your product and they're already sold out, you should get them, more inventory right away, right?
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I was just going to say the big thing that I take away from their upcoming Kickstarter or the Kickstarter they just closed out and that we're getting ready to see some product from later this year is that the biggest thing I heard complained about the first one was that they had some shipping issues,
Right.
and this new one they're not managing the distribution of
Right.
that. They've partnered with
Yeah.
somebody else that has a little bit more experience in operating that and that can do it to scale more effectively. So I
Jason,
think as long as that comes out, it's going to be a huge win.
you got to give Jason kudos. He started, this company with whoever, right?
Oh
But
yeah,
he's learned a lot along the way.
yeah, for sure.
He brought Adam on board to help him with some of his customer service issues, things like that he was having, and Adam's on the ball with that kind of stuff. So I think Jason has learned and only improved, and I think you're just going to keep seeing better things from people like Spiro Toys, right? Same with Fresh Monkey
Absolutely.
Fiction, right? They're just learning. They're watching everybody else's, missteps or, successes and saying, yep, that's how we're going to do it. Or nope, let's make sure we don't make that little error, and
Yeah.
that's commendable, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that's great. And again, we just talked about a bunch of independent toys, and if we keep backing them and spending our dollars there, it's gonna It's going to continue to evolve the game, and as collectors, we're not just along for the ride. We help shape it with every pre-order, every unboxing, every shout out to the brands that get it right. We send a message. So, let's stop rewarding the gimmicks, and let's stop falling for the same old scarcity scams, and let's start collecting smarter together.
Yep.
This isn't about being jaded, it's about being aware, because we protect our wallets, our shelves, and our community, and we protect the culture we love. So if we do our part and those independent toy lines continue to rise, that will in the end improve our overall satisfaction and what we benefit from. So that kind of wraps it up for the topic tonight. Then next week.
You want to hit next week
Well,
first?
let's hype up this real quick, right? And then we'll jump to the chat before we close out. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Awesome. So, we're gonna take a short break. We're not going to be here next week, and we're not going to be here the week after. So for the next 2 Tuesdays, we're not going to be on. We're not going to be live. We may be in and out of other chats and shows and stuff, throughout the weeks. But we're not going to have a new episode for the next 2 weeks. But when we return on the infamous September 2nd, we're coming back. I'm gonna be swinging. I'm gonna be swinging hard with a full-on Marvel versus DC showdown. We'll be debating it all. Figures, franchises, factions, and who's ruling the toy aisles right now. It's going to get spicy. And your boy Teflon might need to put in some PTO for the coming days. That's that, Ed.
Yeah, he just started a new job too, so he better get some rest between now and then.
That's going to be tough. That said, Ed, let's hit up the chat real quick.
Yeah. So Punk saying, if someone doesn't pay their bill to buy a toy, I don't feel bad for them when they see it at Sarge and Red's.
So when they sell it or when he sees it,
yeah, I agree 100%. If you're not paying we'll have a week.
Yeah, we got to dig into that a little bit more because I am empathetic to the disease that the person's suffering from. But
100%, dude.
Yeah,
you and I have both been through it, right? Where we had job losses, right, in the middle of pre-orders and stuff, and you got to make those hard choices of what you're going to keep, what you're going to get rid of, what pre-orders you're going to cancel, all that stuff.
Yep.
Adam saying he wouldn't have hauled as much stuff home from SDCC if I could just order it later. Paladin, Cold Slither specifically, yeah. And he would have grabbed more of the Savage Land 3-packs. Yeah, those are hot items right now.
I heard they were pretty big, and people are hoping they get re-released and such because I guess they're like a hot pick there. Yeah.
Yeah. And Teflon Rob saying, to be fair, the McFarlane Chase figures are just as ugly as most of the other ones. True. That's a valid point.
Is he saying that the McFarlane, who up until now pretty much owned the DC line, and DC lines were ugly as shit? Ha! Preview. We'll get there.
Troy, 3 teeth.
I mean, he's sorry. Hold on a second. He's winning the debate for me. Winning the debate for me. I didn't even have to say anything.
Oh, you two. It's going to be bad. I'm going to have to bring out the Billy Club. Maybe a shock collars for both of you. You get too lippy, I just push the button. Troy, TD3 Trooper, stopping in to say, what's up, my dudes? What's up, Troy? G.I. Jetman got in your back, man. You got the Jetman in your corner, He's like back in the day when, George the Animal Steel would be in the corner and chase Miss Elizabeth around, and distract Savage from his match with Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah. But I would be
saying, sniff, sniff. Do I smell some brown nosing? Ooh. Jetman saying, go Marvel. Travis, I'm not going to argue for McFarlane. Yeah, that's a hard one to argue right there.
I'm surprised you're going to argue for DC, but hey, you're going to do that.
Anyway, yes, back to the closing out.
So
thanks,
Ed,
everybody. Thanks, everybody.
That said, before we go, though, Ed, let people know where you're going to be the next few days and, over the next 2 weeks. Do you have any shows you're going to be hosting, co-hosting, modding, chats, things?
I'll be on the Clubhouse this Saturday. I'll be hanging out in Punk's chat Thursday Thursday with a friend this week.
He doesn't have any friends. Let's be real.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
That's what somebody asked him. Did you run out of friends, Punk? No, Punk and Circle of Jerks will be doing a live stream for the end of the Snowcat HasLab to see where
Okay.
it ends out. So he'll be on Circle of Jerks channel with them. Friday I'll be on with Radnom, of course. Saturday we'll be on the Clubhouse this week, and then Sunday Hella Dope should be back. Monday I'll be back with Punk, and then who knows what I'll do for the rest of the week after that. I'm leaving Friday the 22nd early in the morning, and I will be gone through the 31st, basically.
Yeah. Sounds good, man. Depending on what my travel is, we're still up in the air. We might make a stop in the great state. This one goes to you, Punk, of Ohio, potentially on Saturday night to watch a Cincinnati Reds game, but we'll see. It all depends on timing and how it's all going to work out. But I may either listen in to the Clubhouse pretty late if I'm driving overnight on Saturday, or I may be hanging out and listening to Radnom and you guys during the craft and chill sessions on Friday night as I drive out towards Tennessee, where I will spend the next week. I will be making an appearance. There may be some photos afterwards of me body slamming someone at Hulk Hogan's shop down in Pigeon Ridge, Tennessee. Pigeon Forge, yeah, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. As they have rings and they have a ring in there, and you may see me land a smackdown on somebody. So we'll see.
Awesome.
I mean, Hulk's not going to be there to stop me, so I'm going to run wild.
What day are you taking off? Friday?
Either Friday or Saturday. Not 100% sure. It all depends on if we're going to do the ball game on Saturday and go to the great state of Ohio.
Ohio.
Yes.
Also, I hate Ohio.
Awesome. And Teflon, you're a jerk, man. You're a jerk. That said,
thanks. I can't take credit for the show, man. Travis does most of the work for the show. I'm just here to be a pretty face with a beautiful smile, and he does all the work behind the scenes.
That said, guys, you know what I say all the time. Stay wonderful.
ToyLeet crew, from axe to stacks to toy Vember, yeah, we break through. Unbox the fire, showcase the find. Collectors worldwide, all one of a kind. ToyLeet, we set the pace, elite with the heat in this plastic race. ToyLeet, not just a name, we're the culture, the vibe, the collecting flame. Click, snap, pose, it's more than display. We stack with style, redefining play. Custom builds, epic drops, from stream to shelf, we never stop. ToyLeet, it's not just toys, it's legacy we stack. ToyLeet's the movement, and we're never looking back.